Hey everyone, Kara CrossFit Brindle. Welcome back to the channel. Guess who I have? My favorite person. Hey Alex.
Alex Castro Crow here.
So we wanted to share something we've been working on. A lot of you have been following kind of our journey. We're doing a lot of awesome projects together. Alex, I feel honored to always work alongside you. And one of them is officially a proof from the mail. So back in, gosh, a couple months ago, it seemed like we were talking about this maybe in May, June,
Hey,
somewhere in
yeah.
there. But then we actually really worked on the draft of this workbook for clinician survivors. So this is the first proof of the workbook that we have put together and hope that people will utilize. So Alex, why did you say yes when I said, hey, do you want to do this with me? What do you want this audience to know about you saying yes?
I guess for me was when I read your book, when I read the book and the proof, I remembered a lot of the activities that I did to heal within myself that really hit home, and I was able to process the grief and the loss in a way that was very very aware of the different parts of myself that was grieving: physical, emotional, mental, and relational. And so when I read the book and I saw the content and the beauty of how you laid it out. That's why when I asked you, "Have you thinking about doing a workbook?"
Yes,
and
this
you're
was
like,
your idea.
"Yeah,"
Yeah.
mainly because of the way the book is going to be able to flow with the activities. Because let's be real, it's heavy content, and so there's going
Yes.
to be some times where you need to read and take a break. This would be a great activity to read and then go to the workbook and do an activity and let that sit with it mindfully, process it in a very personal, sacred space within yourself, and then come
Mhm.
back and pick it back up. So it's like a beautiful interweaving, if you may, of information and processing the information at the same time as you're integrating it.
Yes, nicely said. Yeah, so anyone who saw Alex and Liliana had interviewed me about the book, the Moving from Alert to Acceptance book, which is about healing from client suicide, way back in May. And on that recording, out of the blue, you asked if I was going to do a workbook, and I was like, I don't know. And then here we are months later. So anyone who's done retreats with Alex and I, you know that I call Alex the soul and the heart, and I am the head. So when you think about a workbook, it is a nice blending of those soulful, internal dialogue, processing, healing, as well as some practical elements of like journaling. Here are the prompts, those kinds of things. So hopefully this is going to be blending nicely for folks if you were to pick up the workbook. Let's open it. Let's see what's in here and see
Yep.
if it looks the way we want. Because, there's always that. Of course, as I'm on camera, can I actually open it is truly the question because these things are awful. All right, I finally got it to open for anyone who was like, what's happening here? It's finally open. Take a look. Ta-da!
Oh, wow.
So everyone knows when you get a proof off of Amazon, it has this ugly gray bar on it. So that's not part of it. But, first impression, nice glossy cover, simple workbook, right? It's not like a huge thing and a huge endeavor for folks. Like that's not the intention of a workbook in this capacity. We handpicked all of the exercises based on what we thought would fit as therapist survivors, clinician survivors, and that is where this comes in. So look, Alex's name, my name's on here, little message on the back with a feather. They're
Mhm.
pretty, but not showing all of our trade secrets, but you can see there's lots of white space. There's some images in here for folks. There's our bios, lots of things. So, how are you feeling about this, Alex, now that you get to see it?
I am super excited that it's come to fruition. All the work
That's right.
we completed. Yeah,
Call to
oh
action,
yes, yes, yes,
tree.
yes. The colors are amazing too.
We both love purple. And of course, suicide prevention colors. So part of this is branding, part of this is suicide prevention. Again, Alex said it beautifully. This is meant to be a companion to the Moving from Alert to Acceptance book that was published back in June of this year. Here we are, end of September, launching this in October. So it feels very symbolic to have this out the same year that we've gotten this traction in the community where you and I, Alex, have said, hey, this is us. We are clinician survivors. We've written this for fellow colleagues. We're going to continue to build retreats around this topic because people are looking for vicarious healing, which we just
Right,
talked about before we hit record.
exactly.
So this is the first, look at it. Again, not huge, not meant to be huge, but meant to give some very intentional activities in here for folks that are trying to take that pause from the heaviness of the other book. Other thoughts, Alex, for this audience as they see this?
I think if at the minute you get the workbook and you start working on it, be graceful with yourself as well. Mainly because let's be real, things are going to come up, and be graceful with yourself when these things do come up. And if you need to take a break, take a break. I mean, even when we were preparing it, we're like, ooh, this is going to be some pretty good content, but that's going to promote healing from within. So it's meant
That's right.
to, and in addition to that, doing your own personal work as well. So it's encouraged 100%.
Absolutely. So there's kind of a love letter from Alex and I to people when they get this book on the inside cover. It's not meant to be rushed. Like we didn't want it to be overwhelming, which is why we also kept it succinct and like, hey, take pauses between the exercises. Don't steamroll ahead. Yes, could you do this in one day? Probably, but would you get as much out of it as if you gave yourself space between the things? So this is another resource for our community. We feel called to continue to talk about clinician survivors. This is another tool for you. So yay, can't wait to show you the cover without the ugly gray bar. After we release this video, pretty soon after, we'll have it published for everyone to grab a copy. This will be in paper form like this, but also digital. So for folks who just want to download it, work on it on a computer, print out each exercise on its own, we have that option. So I will link both the paperback and the digital copy below this video once we're ready to announce that they're live. Thank you, Alex, for partnering with me on this. Can't wait to see what people think. So if you get this and you start to work through it, share with us. Alex and I are always open to feedback. Let us know what exercises you loved, which ones really resonated. Again, Alex has test drove a lot of the exercises he contributed in his retreats and other places. I've test driven all the other things that I put in here as well. So we know that they work. We know that they've been helpful in our own journeys for healing. We hope they'll be helpful for you. In the meantime, stay tuned for more awesome collaborations between Alex and I. We'll see you in a future video. Take care.